the Always Believe House. Oh, today we're going to do a quadratic review. And it is going to be F-U-N, fun. So let's get rocking and rolling, and a magical whiteboard appears, and let's get going. Some of these problems will be on your next test, okay? It'll be next week. I'll give you more information about that as we go through. And I'm going to cut some slack on here. You're not going to have to do all of these problems, okay? So on the first problem, we want to solve these by factoring, okay? So we need to put it ax squared plus bx plus c, right? Most of the time, you got to get them in standard form. So on this problem here, I'm going to move these two over. It's going to be n squared plus 10n plus 24 equals 0, okay? Now then, I need the factors of 24 that add up to n, and they're 6 and 4, and I'm going to put a plus and a plus to get the 10, and then the n goes on the bottom, right? So my factors are going to be n plus 6 and n plus 4 equals 0. Then remember, the zeros in the factors are opposites. So my zeros are going to be n equals -6 and -4. That is all you have to do. At -6 and -4, those are the 2 points where the graph will cross the x-axis. Okay? So you could pick 2 more. So on this one, and this one, you can omit one of those, okay? You can omit one of them. Just do 2 more. Let's go to the next one. Solve by taking a square root. On these right here, you want to get x squared equals a number. Okay, you want to isolate the x squared. So I'm going to move over the 1. So -4a squared equals -20. And then divide by -4. And I'm going to get a squared equals -20 divided by 4 is 5. Then I'm going to square root both sides. So my a is going to be a equals plus or minus the square root of 5. If you calculated the square root of 5, you would write that down as a decimal, okay? But you would be not exact on that. So just leave it plus or minus square root of 5. Those are the 2 points where the graph will cross the x-axis. Same thing on this one. You're going to pick 2 more of these. So you can omit 1 out of 6, 7, or 8, okay? Just do 2 of the 3. Find c to complete the square, okay? So remember on these right here, we did, let's say, x squared plus 10x. Then we had a blank, let's say, equals 5. We took the 10, divided it by 2, and then squared, right? So on this one, I would add 25 to both sides, wouldn't it? This number right here is the number that completes the square. And you get it by taking this number and dividing it by 2 and squaring it. So let's take this one right here. We got -9. We're going to divide it by 2, and then we're going to square this, okay? So a negative times a negative is a positive, and this is going to be 81 over 4. So on this one, we would add 81 over 4 to both sides. So just take this number that I'm circling, divide it by 2, or multiply by half, and square it. You could pick any 2 of these, okay? So 2 of those 3 problems and finish that up. So pretty simple stuff. Number 13, write each equation in vertex form by completing the square. So I'm going to take the 19 and move it over. Now then draw blank and blank, and then I'm taking the 12, dividing it by 2, and squaring, right? So I would add 36 to both sides, wouldn't I? Now then I'm going to get, and then I factor this, right? So the square root, this turns into x plus 6 squared. And then this is going to be equal to 17, and move over the 17. And the vertex would be -6, -17, would it? Okay? Remember, when you complete the square, this number is going to go right here. The number that you get when you divide by 2 goes in that parentheses. That's why it's called completing the square. Because you add a number to it and it makes a perfect square, okay? You're going to repeat the process on 14. Let's go to 15. Solve each equation by completing the square, okay? So I'm going to do the first one for you. We're going to move over the 5. X squared plus 2x equals 5, and then put blanks. Remember that negative 5 will turn to a positive 5. Now then I'm going to take the 2, divide it by 2, I get 1, and I'm going to square the 1, and that's going to give me 1 in it. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. This number right here is going to go in the parentheses. It's going to be x plus 1 squared equals 6. And then when I get to here, I'm going to square root both sides. So I'm going to get x plus 1 equals to a plus or minus square root of 6. And then I'm going to move the 1 over. So x equals negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 6. Those would be my zeros. And don't worry about calculating that out. If you were to trace this function, graph it and trace it, the decimal values would be what you would get if you calculated that out. There's 3 more. You've got to do 2 of them, okay? Just 2 of them. Let's go to the next one. The discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. And remember, if the discriminant is negative, there's no solution. And if there's no solution, the parabola would look like this, right? It would not cross the x-axis. If the discriminant is equal to 0, there is one solution. And then if you had your xy axis, the parabola, the vertex would be on the x-axis. Most parabolas have a positive discriminant, which means there's 2 solutions, and the parabola crosses the x-axis twice. The discriminant's a pretty big number. If you're working with quadratics with real big numbers, you can get the discriminant and figure out what happens to the parabola, okay? So really quickly, what you want to do on all these is solve them for 0. So on every single one of these problems, you got to move this number over, don't you? Okay, I'll do number 19, because that's the one I got circled, okay? So subtract 9. I'm going to get b squared plus 4b plus 4 equals 0. And remember, there's a 1 right here. Write down a equal 1, b equal 4, c equals 4. So I'm going to do b squared. B squared is 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4. And you would punch that into the calculator as is. If you punch into the calculator, you get 16 minus 16, you would get 0. There would be one solution, wasn't there? So in all these problems, you just find the discriminant. There's 3 more. Do any 2 of them. You can pick 2 if you want to do, okay? Solve using the quadratic formula. I'm going to be real nice here. We're going to use calculator. And I'm going to show you how to do this, okay? I'm going to do it one time. I want you to do all of these, though, okay? First thing you got to do is put this in standard form. So it's going to be ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 and minus 1, right? Now then, this right here is your a, b, and your c. 9, 6, negative 1, right? I'm going to show you how to put this into the calculator, okay? So let's go to the calculator. We're going to hit menu. Algebra is 3. Polynomial tools is 3. And then find roots of a polynomial 1. And then hit enter. Now then, this is where you put the a, b, and c in. So I have 9, 6, negative 1. 9 down, 6 down, negative 1. And then down, and then hit enter. Darn it, I just canceled. So 9 down, 6 down, negative 1, and let me make sure that's right. 9, 6, negative 1, that's right. I'm going to hit down. I'm on the OK, hit enter. Now then I got that. That should be your quadratic. 9x squared plus 6x minus 1. When you know that's right, hit enter. And those are my zeros. Okay? So negative 8.04, and the 4 would round to a 5, right? Let's do hundreds. Negative 8, write it like money. Negative 80, or negative 80. So x equals negative 0.80, and the other one is 0.14. We're going to round the 3 up to a 4, right? So 0.14 or 14 hundredths. So those right there are the numbers where the parabola would cross the x-axis, okay? So you got to put them in the correct form, then use the calculator, do all three of these with the calculator so you can get some rep. So you'll do all three of those, okay? Number 27, your vertex is HK and it passes through XY. And remember, you're going to do Y equals A parentheses X minus H squared plus K. That's on your formula chart. We know all of this but the A, so we got to find the A. Okay, so the Y is 27. I'm going to change colors here. 27 equals, we do not know the A. The X is negative 10. This is the most tedious thing you had this whole lesson. When you put the H in, it flips, so plus 7 squared, and then the K is 9. The next thing you want to do is this. So negative 10 plus 7 is negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. So this is going to turn into 27 equals 9A plus 9. I'm going to move the 9 over. Subtract 9. So I'm going to get 18 equals 9A and divide by 9. So my A is going to be a positive 2. So it opens up. Now then, we want this in standard form. This is tedious. This is a lot of work. So let's rewrite the quadratic formula, the vertex form, and we're going to fill in for A, the H, and the K. So Y equals 2 parentheses X, and my H is plus 7 squared, and my K is 9. So I just filled this in and this in right here, didn't I? Now then I'm going to do X plus 7 squared. Remember, you write down X plus 7 squared, you got to use that full, right? I'm going to do the shortcut. So Y equals 2 parentheses, square, square, multiply, double, X times X is X squared. Skip a spot, 7 times 7 is 49, and then 7 times X is 7X, double it, you get 14X, plus 9. Now then you got to bluebell truck the 2, or distribute the 2. Y equals 2X squared plus 28X plus 98 plus 9. And my final equation is Y equals 2X squared plus 28X plus 107. And the 107 is the Y-intercept. Oh, it's the hardest thing you have to do in this part of the semester, okay? It's a lot of work. You got to solve for A, then plug it back in and switch it to standard. It's a lot of steps. Calculator won't help you on that. Okay, lastly, 28. You will do 28 on your own. Now then on 29, remember, these are the problems where you draw the graph, right? We did this yesterday, so we're going to draw the graph. There's going to be a parabola, okay? So this is my initial velocity, and wait, and we want 4 seconds, and we're at 486 feet above the river. So we're going to write this down, Y equals negative 16x squared plus the initial velocity is 18 plus I'm at 486 feet. And we want to know how high I'm up after 4 seconds. Will I hit the water? So if you graph this, this is going to start at 486. I'm going to change colors. And remember, the parabola is going to do this, right? It's going to go up, and then it's going to go down, right? We need to find the maximum height in this, and we also want to know what 4 seconds is. We're also going to write down the domain and range, okay? So we're going to graph this into the calculator. So go to the calculator, hit home. I'm going to click B to graph, and I need to hit Control T, and then delete, delete, delete. Think of a bad thought when you do that. Hit enter. Now then tab, negative 16x squared, and then it's plus 18x plus 486, plus 18x plus 486. Hit enter. I get my graph. Now then I'm going to hit menu 5.1 or menu trace graph trace. So menu trace graph trace. Menu 51, and boom, I'm at the 0486. I need to trace up and find the top of the jump. So I'm going to hit the right arrow button, and boom, there's the maximum, 0.562 seconds at 491. So right here, 0.5682 and 491, 491. So that's when I reach the maximum height. Now I'm going to start falling to the water. What we're going to do is we're going to trace to the 0. So go back to the calculator, keep hitting the right arrow button. Boy, I am in the air a long time. 217, woo, this is a long jump. I'm going to have a heart attack before I hit the water. I'm getting closer to 0. There it is. 6.1. Notice that it's not 0. That means it's the closest it could get. So this is a square root answer using the quadratic formula. This would not factor, okay? But at 6.1 seconds, I'm going to hit the water. So I'm going to go to here, and this is 6.1 comma 0. Now then, at 4 seconds, let's go back, hit 4, enter. 4, enter. And that's what I am for at 302. So at 4 seconds, I'm 302 feet above the air. So 4 seconds equals 302. Now then, write down capital D for domain. The domain goes from 0 to 6.1, doesn't it? And I'm going to change green for range. The range goes from 0 to up here. So 0 to 491, right? That's the maximum height. So that's my domain and range. You will repeat the process on number 30, okay? So make sure you draw the graph. Okay, it's 3 foot off the ground. At initial velocity, it's going to do this. So make sure you get this dot, and make sure you write down your domain and your range. And you want to know the total time the ball was in the air. So this number right here is going to be the total time the ball was in the air. I want all that information. That's important information you need to know. And get the domain and range. And let's do 31 together. Okay, this is a pin, so let's draw a rectangle. The length of the pin equals 4 plus twice the width. So the length is 4 plus twice the width, and we know the width is just W, right? We're going to multiply that. So W times 4 plus 2W equals 240. Distribute the W. So I'm going to switch this around to make it in this right order, plus 4W. Move the 240 across, equals 0. Now then, solve this with the calculator. Okay, and you'll use the positive root, won't you? Okay, so do what we did above. Use the calculator, hit menu, polynomial tools, find zeros, and type that in. Your A is 2, and B is 4, and W is, or C is negative 240. Type that in and use the positive 0. Go to the next one. I'm just going to tell you what the formula is on this one. Okay, so we're making a rectangular arena. The area is 64,000. That's a big number. And the length equals, so L equals 240 feet longer, 240 plus the width. So the length is 240 plus the width. Let me put this right. 240 plus the width. This is the width. I'm going to multiply those and set it equal to 64,000. Repeat the process. And lastly, I'm going to do 33 for you. You're going to do 34 on your own. We got to square this first. So we're going to do x plus 6 times x plus 6, aren't we? So I'm going to do the shortcut. Y equals 1/2, parentheses, square, square, multiply, double. So x times x is x squared. Skip a spot. 6 times 6 is 36. Now I'm going to do my arches. 6 times x is 6x, but there's going to be 2 of them. 6x and 6x adds up to 12x plus or minus 4. Now then we're going to bluebell truck the 1/2, aren't we? So we're going to bluebell truck or distribute the 1/2. So y equals 1/2 x squared plus 6x plus 18 minus 4. Combine those two. 1/2 x squared plus 6x plus 14. And this is the y-intercept, right? Repeat the process on 34. Okay, so you don't have many more to do for homework. Make sure you're working through these. I will post the key, okay? Make sure you're doing these. These problems will be on your next test. So make sure you're able to do that, okay? Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember, you are amazing. You are created to do wonderful things, and you are awesome.